Get started talking about Japanese candlesticks. Now, a couple things before we get deep into all this. Tonight, I'm going to use the term security when referring to any tradable financial instrument. This includes stocks, bonds, commodities, futures, indices, mutual funds, options, CFDs, cryptocurrency, you name it. Now, while I may specify a specific investment product, I'm referring to the whole market of tradable instruments. But it just gets very, very boring saying security, 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 security. So I might say Forex, I might say the Euro, I might say Apple stock, but I'm referring to anything that's publicly traded financial instrument in the open market. Similarly, I intermix the terms investing and trading. Now, we all know the difference. An investor takes a much longer term position while a trader takes a much shorter term position. In either case, the basic concepts and techniques presented in this class are equally adept. And again, it's just easier for me to go from investing to trading. It just gets very boring saying trading, trading, trading. Now, alas, you're going to ask yourself, should I buy today? What will the prices be tomorrow, next week, or next year? What will they be in an hour from now? Wouldn't investing be easy if we knew all the answers to all these seemingly simple questions? So if you're attending this class in the hopes that technical analysis has the answer to these questions, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you earlier. None of us have a crystal ball or a Ouija board. However, if you're attending this webinar with the hopes that technical analysis and candlesticks will improve your investing, I have good news for you, it will. Now, also I'll mention that if you look on your screen, you'll see what's called handouts. These are downloadable forms that I've set up for you. Please click on the download buttons and download them to any device you're using tonight because they're not accessible in any other class format. So if you see a recorded version, you can't download them there. And they're just helpful guides and tips that will show you how the basics of candlesticks, what the important patterns are, how to interpret them. And I've also given you the candlestick cheat sheet so you can see all of the important patterns and you can use them at your leisure. Now, candlesticks have been around since the 17th century. And when I started trading 40 years ago, most of us didn't use candlesticks. Not that they weren't there and not because they were good, bad, or indifferent. In those days, we had to do charting by hand. And hand charting was a very time-consuming process. And putting candlesticks on your chart is even more time-consuming. So most of us use bar charts because, like I said, drawing all of that information on the candlestick and coloring it in was just time-consuming. And we didn't have, like today, all these computerized programs. In fact, those days we didn't even have, the PCs were never even heard of. So today we have great charts that are HTML or Java-based, and they can do anything and everything for you in a matter of seconds. So with these advances and the growth of online trading, most traders have found that they prefer candlesticks. Now, each candlestick in a candlestick chart represents price data. Let me get my marker up here. Oh, here we go again. There's a glitch in the software that we use for our presentations, and every time I go to click on my marker, it messes up the screens, and then I have to get them back, and then my marker appears. Okay, so I got my marker now. So a candlestick shows you the open, the high, the low, and the close for whatever time frame that you're using in your chart. So if you're using a 1 hour chart, it shows you the open, the close, the high, and the low that took place in that 1 hour. If you're using a 1 day chart, it's the open for the day, the close for the day, the high and the low for the day. If you're using a 15-minute chart, the same thing. Now, to put a candlestick on a chart, it's quite simple. You draw a line across at the open, a line across at the close on the price of the chart, put a dot at the highest price that asset went in that 1 hour, a dot at that lowest price the asset went in 1 hour. And then you connect at the end of the 1 hour, you connect the lines to each other. And this forms what's called the body of the candle. And then you connect the body to the dots you put on there, which is the high and the low. And these form what's called sometimes shadows or wicks of the candle. Now, once these are on there, if you stepped down from the open to the close, in other words, the open was higher than the close, you would fill that candle in with red, and that would be a bearish trading session. If you stepped up or moved up from the open to the close, that would be a bullish trading session, or we would use and fill it in with green. Now, the fact is, today, you don't have to do any of this. The computers just do it for you. And you can actually decide you want to use purple and gold, orange and turquoise. As long as you know which one is bullish and which one is bearish, doesn't make a difference. So let's go over quickly the candlestick chart, and I'll show you how this is done in a live chart. So hold on, let me pop up a chart. Okay, let's go over to my Euro US dollar chart. So here we're looking at a candlestick chart. And as you can see, we can set up, okay, in this case, we've set up the candles to be red and green. We could use them to be blue and gold, or blue and orange, and our candles are blue and orange. As long as we know which one we're using for, which one we're using for bearish and which one we're using for bullish, then we're perfectly fine. So now I put it back to where we were. Okay. And each one of these candles, now we're looking at a 1 hour chart. So each one of these candles represents a 1 hour time span. And it gives us the open, the high, the low, and the close for the 1 hour. Now, this is where we get a little bit confusing, because beginning traders think candlesticks are all about the reds and the greens. And that is not the case. Candlesticks are about the patterns and the size of and shape of the body of each candle, the length of the wicks of each candle, and what it is in relevance to the preceding candle and the post candle. Okay, these form patterns. These patterns have names, and these patterns tell you something about what is happening in an asset. For instance, this is called a bearish engulfing candle. Why? We had a green candle here, which was a bullish candle. Then we got a red candle next that fully engulfed the previous candle in the opposite direction. That's telling us it's a bearish engulfing candle, and that's telling us that we're moving into a downtrend. Okay. All of these are explained in those handouts I gave you. Now, there's a total of 32 accepted patterns, and there's 16 patterns that are top level and another 16 that are secondary levels. Okay. And each one of these patterns means something to us. Okay. And it means something in relevance to the trend, and each one of these candles have definitions. Okay. If you have a small body with equal size wicks, you might have a doji. You could have a long candle followed by a shorter candle that is fully engulfed, and that could be a Hammurabi. You could have a candle that has no wicks above and below it, and that is a Marabuzu. Okay, each one of those types of candles tells you something. Now, I didn't mention in any of that reds and greens because it's unimportant. Okay, of how much red and green you're seeing. Okay, we're more concerned with the upper shadow or the upper wick and the lower wick and the size of what's called the body. Now, candlesticks are very much like bar charts. You're using 4 pieces of information: the open, the high, the low, and the close. So what does the size and the shape of the candle tell you? Now, first thing, each candle itself tells us a story about that particular segment. If you're looking at a 1 hour candle, it's going to tell you who was in control of that 1 hour. And was anybody in control? Was there indecision in the marketplace? It explains the story of the bulls and the bears. And a wide body candle, that would be now, okay, let me back up a second here and tell you why you're seeing blacks and whites and reds and greens. Originally, when we were hand charting, okay, and we didn't have computer charts, there was no such thing as red and green candles. Okay. When you put your candlestick on your chart, if it was a bearish session, you would use the side of your pencil and fill it in. If it was a bullish session, you would just leave it hollow or blank. So those got interpreted as a white and a black candle, white being bullish and black being bearish. Today, we're using reds and greens instead. So when you see white, or if you see some strategies or some explanation with white, it means the same as green. If you're seeing red or black, they are the same. Now, I've got a short presentation I'm going to share with you that'll maybe give this to you in a little bit of better formation. And then we'll go on and look at how we might, what these different candlestick patterns tell us. So as you can see, there are some well-known patterns and some very important patterns. There are 16 very important patterns. I've given these to you on that handout in your top candlestick patterns. But these include names like the hammer you just saw, the bullish engulfing, the bearish engulfing, the bullish harami, the three white soldiers, the three black crows, all kinds of very complicated names. Okay. They're also a little bit complicated to see actually on your charts. So you've got your handout, you've got your cheat sheet that shows them to you. You need to know all of these. You don't need to memorize their names. But if you're going to trade from candlesticks, you have to be able to recognize these patterns and know what they're trying to tell you. Okay, that's what's important. What are the candlesticks trying to tell you? So we briefly touched the bullish engulfing, and engulfing candles are a pair of candles that indicate an impending market reversal, which could be bearish or bullish. It depends. Now, for candlesticks, everything is flipped. For whatever you have for a bullish, for bulls, you have the opposite, the mirrored image for bearish. Okay, so we have bearish and bullish engulfing. Okay, and these patterns appear quite often. You have to know what they're trying to tell you. But it's when in a downtrend, you get a red candle, which is a down or a bearish session, and then you get a green candle or bullish candle, which is the opposite direction then, that fully engulfs the previous candle. Okay. But that happens in a downtrend. In an uptrend, you would get a green candle, then has a red candle that fully engulfs the body of the previous candle. You also have something called tweezers. Tweezers happen very rarely, but in a downtrend, you would have a red and a green candle with no upper wicks and long equidistant lower wicks, and they look exactly like a pair of tweezers. That's telling you for sure there's a market reversal, opposite trend taking place. So you have bullish and bearish tweezers. Then we go on to morning stars. We can go on to complex patterns. We have morning stars and evening stars. Okay. And then from there, we can go on to three white soldiers and three black crows. Now, three white soldiers and three black crows are, again, trend reversal patterns. They are crucially important when they appear. They're very reliable. The three white soldiers patterns emerge during downtrends, and the three black crows patterns emerge during uptrends. Now, remember what we talked about black and white candles? Okay, so imagine three white soldiers is three today, three green candles. It used to be, and you don't change the name because it's been around for a lot of years. So today we could call it three green soldiers and three red crows. Okay. But the three white soldiers appear of three steps in the opposite direction of a trend. So when we have a bearish trend and we get three candles stepping upward, okay, that's a very positive mood telling you that downtrend is over and we're moving into an uptrend. The three black crows is the exact reverse. Now, when you've gone through all the various candlestick patterns, either you're ready to go to the trading battlefield with your newly acquired knowledge, or you want to shout, "Stop it. I'm too confused with all these funny names and shapes and can't remember any of these, and how will I ever find these in my charts?" So let's go take a look at a chart, a live chart, and let's see how you can go find this in your chart. Okay. So we're looking at a chart for the Euro US dollar. We're looking at the 1 hour chart. And can I see any patterns in there? I'm old. My eyes can hardly see anything. Okay. I didn't use candlesticks for a long time. In fact, I use them more now than I did before because I couldn't spot any of this stuff in candlesticks. It was too complicated to find them, too difficult to see them. But today, computers have made the world a nice place. It's given us lots of helpful hints, lots of helpful ways to trade. Now, we're on tradingview.com right now, and I'm just going to show you how to do this on TradingView, but you can do it on no matter basically any chart system you're looking at. We will go up here to indicators, and we can go to our library of scripts, and we're going to look down here. See, we see candlestick patterns identified. I'm going to click on that, and lo and behold, in about a second or two, look at all the markings all over my charts. It's giving me all the candlestick patterns that are developing. Tell me what they are, where they are, exactly where they are. And now I have too much stuff on my charts. So let's magnify this section here. So we can see that it tells us we have a bearish Harami. Okay. A Harami is a candlestick with a Harami is a candlestick that the current candlestick is fully engulfed in the body of the previous candlestick. Harami in Japanese means pregnant. So in other words, this new candle is inside the body of the previous candle. So it's just like a pregnant animal, a pregnant person is fully incorporated in their body. Now what it means is on your sheets to you, but now that I have it, what do I do with it? Well, now that you have all of this stuff on your charts, let's go see how we could set these up to make life easier. So if I click on format here, it's going to give me all the different important chart patterns. I can decide if they're important to me and if I want to see them. I don't care about evening stars or morning stars. I don't care about shooting stars. I don't trade hammers. Okay. I like Haramis. I do bullish engulfing. I don't do Pearson's line. I don't do bullish belts. I don't do bullish kickers. I care about they're not. I don't use them in my trading. That's all I'm saying. And I can take them all off and limit down what's on my chart. Then I can decide: do I want my notation in red and green, or do I want some in bright blue? And I decide how I want how I want the numbers. Then I can decide where do I want an arrow above or below? Do I just want to put a circle on my chart? Okay, see, we just pushed circle, and so now we have blue circles. And do I want it above or below the candle? So I put it below, so I'm just going to drop it all right down here. So I've gotten off my charts now, and I have it just on the bottom, right down here. It's still at the candle, but you can set it up any way you want because it sees all of the candles for you and all the patterns and identifies them for you. Well, whether you're trading from TradingView charts or not, once you've got it identified on here, it's going to be the same on the chart you're using. You just transfer it over and you've seen it. So now you have them all here. There's also scanners in the marketplace, but that's one way. Also, tonight we're being sponsored by investing.com, and investing.com has great charts on it. And if we go to, let's go to a 1 hour chart here, and we go to candlestick patterns, it's finding and identifying right there on the chart for us the pattern. So here we had an inverted hammer in the 30-minute chart, and we had that a little while ago. It tells us what it is, and down here, okay, we can also customize. Now this is for the euro US dollar. We can customize, do we want to see in 15-minute time frame, 30, 1 hour? Do we want to see completed patterns or emerging patterns, bullish or bearish, and what level patterns we want to see? We want to see the very top important ones, the lesser and lesser, and just apply it, and it's going to give us the patterns as they develop right here on our chart for the euro US dollar. Secondly, we can go to the investing.com scanner, and we can just simply set up the assets we want to track, the patterns we want to see, the time frames we want to see, apply it, and lo and behold, it's going to track all of those assets for us, and the time frames we get, the reliability levels, the patterns we wanted to see, and it's going to tell us right now, if you're trading Ripple Bitcoin, we have a Morningstar pattern that just developed, it's currently developing. We're expecting to send the trade, it's a bullish reversal pattern, so we're expecting the trend to reverse to the bullish side. If we click on and open it, it's going to give us more detail. And we can go right over and look at on the chart right here. And click on there, and here we have it directly on the chart. life easy today. You don't have to go looking and identifying. You just have to know what to do when you got them. So this solves a lot of difficulty for a lot of people and allows us to easily incorporate these into our trading systems. And look at this. Here we have a chart pattern. Here we have this is the euro US dollar, and we've identified a triangle. And trading patterns are much easier to identify with candlesticks than they are with line charts and bar charts. Okay. And we can use these very easy to identify these patterns. Okay. Here we have other chart patterns, and we're using our candlesticks. And here we've identified a head and shoulders pattern. The candlesticks help us draw trend lines very, very easy. And so we can then incorporate these into our everyday use without being too complex. You know, it used to be you had to be able to recognize these patterns, see them when they're developing, be able to find them in your candlesticks, and then decide what to do with them. So let's go back to my PowerPoint. Let's talk about how we can interpret price action with candlesticks. And I'm just pop up a little presentation for you. So as you can see, there are many different ways that you use candlesticks in to help you with understand the markets, understand price action, and to help you make a trading decision. As you saw in the last part, using bold patterns, flag patterns, using chart patterns, whether it's triangles, work great with candlesticks. Trend lines work great with candlesticks. There's all types of ways, but remember, it's through observation and understanding market sentiment. Each candle of a candlestick chart is a reflection of the market sentiment. It's not just the standard patterns, but with keen observation, you can master the art of trading by looking at the charts without even remembering the names of all of these patterns. There are simple ways to incorporate candlesticks into your everyday trading, and it just takes a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight, but in no time flat, you'll start recognizing them. The more you trade with them, the more you use them, the easier it's going to get. Or you can just use candlestick charts. You can just have your charts, because when you're drawing trend line support and resistance lines and looking for chart patterns, candlesticks help you see them easier without even using the candlestick patterns for your trading. Because I use my candlesticks, but I use them because it's easier for me. I can see a trend line right in with my candlesticks and my wicks. I can see patterns developing like triangles easier with the body of the candle and the wicks. So however you want to use them, they're a great charting method to add into your daily trading system. And they'll help you see the trends easier. They'll help you give all types of market understanding. Okay. And learning what are continuation patterns, what are reversal patterns, how to react to these when you are trading. Okay. But remember, each candlestick on the chart is just a reflection of sentiment. Each candle on the chart may be saying something to you, and how do you listen to it? The answer to that lies in the size of the body of the candles and its wicks. Okay. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Please make sure I'll give you a minute or two to download those handouts again before I close up class, because you won't be able to get them again. But if you don't, you can find them in the internet. They're not top secret. They're standard candlestick patterns all of us use. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting UBCFX. And also, if you have any questions, or go to UBCFX Education Center, and they have a whole bunch of videos and all types of content and ebooks and information on candlesticks. Have a great night now. Thank you for supporting investing.com, and best wishes in your trading.